Hello, everybody. My name is Ron Swarthout, and this is Just a Little Guy, a podcast where I collaborate with my friends from around the world to whip up a brand new batch of beasties for all your creative needs. Today's guest is someone I've wanted to have on since I started the show, and I'm really grateful that he was able to make time to join us. He's a video essayist and media critic on YouTube. He recently released one of my favorite videos this year, Social Media is Destroying Your Mental Health, which, as it says on the tin, takes a closer look at how our brains react to the constant flow of information from the birth of the 24-hour news cycle to the modern age of social media. Please welcome to the show, Salari. Hi, Salari.
Hello.
How are you today?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing very well. There have been no issues whatsoever with this recording process. I definitely haven't tripped over my own self several times setting this up.
This professional operation right here, I can tell.
There's
some Joe Rogan stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the folks listening can't see, but like this is a giant studio, like big circular room, just really hot red lights. We're basically in one of those convection ovens that you see.
It's very hot.
I don't know where you'd see them actually. Maybe at a Kentucky Fried Chicken or something.
It is very hot in here. I've meant to say something about that, but yeah, it's I feel like it's a problem.
I'm sorry. The building owner is like really old and keeps the heat cranking at all times, even if it's 120 degrees outside.
So you can't ask your equivalent of Jamie over there to lower the heat or anything?
No, sadly, we have no power here. We are merely renters.
Fine, I'll put up with it.
Okay. So, as folks can tell, you have a bit of an accent. You're coming from somewhere other than maybe America-ish.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, my mistake. I guess that was just
don't know what you're talking about, mate.
No. It must be something technical on my end. My bad.
No. It happens all the time, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misconception about us Americans.
That's true. We do come in all stripes.
Sadly, yeah. But I'm from the UK. I'm from the north of England, around Leeds, which most Americans haven't heard of because it's not very famous for anything. But if you want some idea as to where it is, it's a little bit north of Manchester, which people are more aware of.
Oh, I see. The first time I heard about Leeds was in the Amanda Palmer song "Leeds United." So wow, there's that.
Very niche reference there.
Yeah, a little bit. I was kind of a strange person in 2010. We won't talk about that.
Evidently, yeah.
But when you came over from the Leeds region to the United States, what was your motivation for relocating to the States?
Love, I guess. Happened to start talking to an American woman online who was like friends of friends that I used to play video games with. And I can't remember what the situation was exactly, but yeah, we ended up chatting about something. And then from there on, started chatting more and more, realized there was something there. And then, eventually when things started taking off, we had to make the decision about who moves where. So I decided I wanted to try somewhere else. And yeah, packed up whatever I could inside of a suitcase and a carry-on bag and moved overseas after a very, very horrible visa process, which made me understand why people want to just, get into this country without being noticed, because you know what? If I had a second chance, I'd probably do the same.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a pain in the butt to migrate here, and yeah,
it's awful. Like, you have to prove that, if you go through the process, we went through what was called a fiancé visa, and when you do that, you have to provide all of this different evidence that you have a legitimate marriage. So photographs, even things like ticket stubs to concerts and movies. Yeah, it's bizarre trying to sort of create some kind of montage of your relationship to some stranger that works at USCIS. And was it USCIS? I'm trying to remember whether it's, well, let's say, yeah, you got to justify some stranger at the Department of Homeland Security. And, yeah, it's very unusual. And the thing is, like, it's all stuff that you could, like, easily fake as well. Like, you could so easily, you can make, like, a fake person as far as you're concerned.
Yes, for all we know, the Salari isn't even your real name.
Yeah, I'm not, I'll keep that under my hat,
You got to keep some kind of, mystery on the internet.
I do. My first name is a mystery because I'm like 99% sure that I'm the only person on the planet with my full name.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm not going to ask you to dox yourself, but I will trust you, and you can send that to me later on if you choose to, and if not, then that's okay. Your secret is safe with me. Keep your mysteries. I appreciate it. Or something like that.
My name and my age remain a mystery. The age is a particularly weird one because I've been told that I look anywhere from like 25 to like 40. And I'm like, thank you to those of you who say 25. Fuck you to those of you who say 40.
That's wild. I do kind of think that you're in like your early mid-20s, like if I had to guess.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say so. Maybe like mid-20s to 30s, but like basically 20s to 30s is where I would like put you.
Okay.
So
maybe you're right.
Well done. Clap, clap, clap.
That's power of skincare. Power of skincare and never going out.
All right. So, like living in the Carolinas, when you came over, did you hear anything about like the history of like cryptids and stuff like that in like the Appalachian area, or like any kind of folkloric things?
No, I can't say I have actually.
Oh, like ever, or just like?
Yeah, I've lived here 7 years now, and I've not heard any of that.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
TikTok has been very informative of my knowledge of the cryptid history, I guess, like in that region.
TikTok is informative.
So basically, like, there's a you could talk to Zoe about it as well. Like, there's a lot of stories like about like different monsters and stuff. Like Mothman's one of the most popular ones. I think Bigfoot also is supposed to be like around there, but I know it's like the Pacific Northwest as well. There's these things called haints and like all sorts of stuff that's just running around allegedly in the woods of the Appalachian like Trail.
I mean, I've heard of Mothman before, and obviously Bigfoot. That's one of the top three, I guess. But yeah, I didn't know it was like something that was specific to North Carolina.
Oh, it's just like kind of the region, like going all the way up to like the basically up through New York and even parts of Canada. Because you said Charlotte, but I'm not sure if Charlotte is like one of the ones that's like closest to the Appalachian.
I don't think so.
Range? Maybe not. Then never mind. But either way, it's very close to you. You guys, like all that kind of stuff, that mountain range and all of that.
Okay.
Jazz.
Yeah, admittedly, I've not done a ton of exploring around here outside of just looking in the city, to be honest with you. Like I said, part of the secret to keeping good skin is never going out.
That is true.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It's one of those things like because I don't really like, I guess to put it succinctly, like I don't really care too much about like the mythology stuff or folklore kind of things. It puts me in a position where I'm just like, I guess it's like that cynical part of me that just sort of brushes it off because it's just like, well, it's not real, so it's not worth learning about. And yeah.
No, I mean, that's totally fair. Yeah, I guess it's kind of near you. It's about 2 hours away, the Appalachian area. But I can understand that, like, being a skeptic, or not like being a skeptic, but like, it's obviously it's fiction and stuff like that. So it would make sense that you might not be like placing a lot of like emphasis and stuff on learning about it.
It's kind of like ghosts. Like, I don't believe in ghosts at all. And it's like as soon as someone starts like trying to tell me about how they saw a ghost or like, some story behind it, I just like immediately shut down. I'm just like, nope, nope, nope. I'm not listening to this. Like, this is obviously not real. This is obviously something that you came up with in your head. I don't say that to the person or anything like that because that would be really fucking rude. But yeah, it's just like, you know, a party is just like, you know, like there is no way that I'm investing in this in any way, shape, or form. So I just end up like being quiet, just like, oh, very interesting. I'm sure that was real.
Yes, indeed.
And like 9 times out of 10, it's just someone describing their experiences with like sleep paralysis or something. And you try to explain, you just like, you know, yeah, you actually you experience something called sleep paralysis. It's a very common thing. No, it wasn't just that. Okay, here we go.
No, I know exactly what you mean because like I've had sleep paralysis run-ins as well, and like people say that they've seen like demons and stuff like that. The only thing that I ever experienced with like sleep paralysis is like I could hear like noises, you know, that kind of freaked me out. But I recognize that it's sleep paralysis and there's not actually anything going on.
Yeah, it's like it's an awful thing. Like I've never actually experienced sleep paralysis myself, so I, you know, can't attest to the kind of horrors that you experience during that. But it is, I mean, it's sort of testament to like how humans interpret the world around us. Like when it comes to something that you're not aware of, because you know a lot of these people who, you know, experience sleep paralysis but don't know what it is. Obviously their brain turns to the supernatural instead. So, you know, I think it does speak volumes about us trying to make sense of the world around us and make sense of phenomenon. But because, admittedly, I'm probably a bit too skeptical for my own good, yeah, it's just one of those things that when I hear it, I'm just like, nah, let's not do this.
Yeah, good way
Let's
not.
Let's leave it to the scientists, this one. I think this is kind of out of our pay grade.
That's fair. I don't have all of those machines that they have, or the training.
Yeah, I don't have a heart thermometer, monitor, echocardiograph. That's it, right?
Yeah, I don't have that temperature gun that they have that they walk around with, and they're like, "Wow, it's 5 degrees colder right here." Yeah, you're standing under an air vent.
When in actual fact, we all know that in reality, they just want an excuse to walk around carrying a laser.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't want that, you know?
Yeah, so they can entertain passing stray cats.
Yeah. I'd never considered it like that, but you're probably right. You know, the most haunted places do seem to have an abundance of stray cats.
That's true, yeah. And those are probably the ones that are actually causing all of those spooky disturbances.
Yeah, that's I never considered that before.
Have you watched Community before?
Oh yeah, we watched like the whole thing.
Do you remember that Halloween episode in season 2 where like the zombie or quote unquote zombies outbreak inside Greendale?
No, but I probably would if I saw it again.
Yeah, it's like there was just like a little bit in it where there's, you know, obviously Community is very self-referential and meta at times, but there's like a little bit in it where they're going around a basement trying to find, I think it's some power supply or something, I can't remember, but there's that horror trope of the cat just like appearing out of nowhere to spook the person that's walking through and the audience, of course. But they do it like 4 times, and it's literally just a cat that's like jumping directly in front of their faces, to the point where like they get so upset that they decide to try and catch the cat instead of actually fix the issue with everyone else. I'm kind of destroying the comedy factor here by explaining it. Like,
no, that's totally fine. I'd rather have like the reference to like go back to later because it's been a long time since I last watched Community, but I do remember enjoying that show like quite a bit.
I've been rewatching it recently. It still holds up. You know, it's one of those great comedies that was consistently overlooked.
Yeah, no, I completely
except
agree
season
with that.
4. Season 4 was when Dan Harmon, I think, was fired off the show, and in season 5, I don't know if you remember this, but they came back and like they all just claimed that there was a gas leak that year, and it was kind of the writer's way of saying like, ignore that year, nothing counts that year.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I just remember that once Danny Glover and Chevy Chase went away, it was like it wasn't as good in my opinion.
Yeah, it had its moments, but yeah, that was kind of a point where you realized, this is a kind of a sinking ship. And funnily enough, like I actually made a video about, before I started doing what I do on YouTube now. I used to talk more about like TV and movies and stuff, just because I've been a student of media throughout my education. And season 6 was like one of those things where like it became more of what the show was supposed to be. And yeah, it was a very interesting departure from what it was, because when it was an NPC, it was like heavily under the, it was like heavily scrutinized by NBC, the network. It's a really interesting case scenario behind like the existence and continuation of that show, because there was a lot of conflict between the creator and the network and trying to find some mass appeal, as opposed to finding a more niche product under which the creator could flourish.
Yeah, I'd never really like looked into the background of it either. Like I just kind of took it at face value. So that's really interesting that it, there was so much going on behind the scenes. Like,
yeah, it's a fascinating history behind it. This is now a community podcast.
Yeah, just a little guy. The podcast about Joel McHale.
Joel McHale, Dan Harmon, the whole gang. Why not?
The whole group.
The whole gang that I definitely remember the names of.
And especially James Rash, who played the Dean.
Yes, Oscar winner, Jim Rash. Yeah, he won a Best Screenwriter Oscar a few years back.
Did he really?
He did, yeah. I can't remember what movie it was for. It was a drama that he wrote, but yeah, he won an Oscar.
Wow. Well, good for him. He deserves it.
Yeah.
So we play in a game together, Dungeons and Dragons.
Indeed.
Yes. What's your experience with that game? Are you new? If you're newer, how do you enjoy it so far? And if you've got a little bit more experience than I was led to believe, what's your favorite facet of the game?
Well, my experience with D&D is that I once watched an episode of Stranger Things. Well, no. So I guess this is my first ever D&D campaign that I've been in, ever. And my prior exposure to it was, have you ever watched, speaking of community, have you ever watched Harmon Quest?
No, I haven't. I have a friend who's very into like Dan Harmon themed things though.
Yeah, Harmon Quest was it was a show where like basically Dan Harmon and usually like a celebrity friend and their, usual group would hold a D&D session. And it just like it was actually a continuation. It wasn't a one shot, but there was a guy that would host it, who's very well versed in D&D, but it would mostly be like a hybrid of D&D and improv, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't learn anything about the rules from it other than you throw dice occasionally, but
that's all the
that
rules,
was
really
pretty much as far as I can glean. But that was sort of like I saw it and I was like, oh, that's pretty enjoyable. And it probably speaks as to why in our campaign I get up to so many different shenanigans with my rogue and thoroughly break down the fourth wall on far too many occasions. But outside, I mean, I've enjoyed it. Like, it is a very different experience, and it's somewhat similar to what I was expecting it to be. I didn't realize it'd be so much math. Like, I was not told that there would be math, but there is math to a degree. But I mean, like, it's been fun, and I like having human interactions and whatnot, like anyone else. And we have, thanks to my escapades, we've managed to how can I put it? managed to rehabilitate a Gnoll, our good friend and now party member, Beyonce Gnoll.
Yeah, that was an incredible sequence of events. By the way, I have to play half of the game from work most of the time.
Sadly.
So most of my engagement is through text, but like when that was going on, I had to stifle a laughter for such a long time. I'm pretty sure my coworkers got concerned because I was probably so like red from just like the engagement, because your character, Tony Gunk, is just hilarious. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, we gotta get Salari on this show.
Tony Gunk, if anyone out there can guess can correctly name the reference to Tony Gunk, bonus points to you. You win 10 parasocial points.
Yeah. Put it in the comments.
Yeah. Leave
on
comments.
My Patreon.
Engage. Pay money to leave an answer.
Yeah.
People who don't pay, doesn't count.
Yeah, no, you don't get to, you don't influence anything.
Yeah, you don't mean anything.
So while we've been having this discussion, the Monstermatic 5000 just been printing. That's what that noise was in the background. Sorry about the racket, by the way. It's a little bit janky.
Oh yeah, but you got this nice big. You got this nice big space here. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's 300 degrees, and the lights are red, and it's a little bit noisy. We're looking at getting the 6000 model, but in order for that to happen, people do gotta go over and contribute to our Patreon at patreon.com/justalittle_guy.
Yeah, cough up.
Mm-hmm. You never seen a pop up on a podcast before, have you? Now you have.
Oh my god.
But so it's given me this name. Hold on a second. Rip. Okay. The paper gets stuck sometimes.
Yeah, very realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's given me this name for a monster that we are tasked with describing, and its name is kind of, does some work for us. It's Slimehorn the Magnificent.
That sounds vaguely sexual.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It sounds upsetting.
It really does, actually. I don't know why. This just popped up like from the Monstermatic 5000. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the accent or like the Tony Gunk. Like, I don't know. Like, for some reason it must like listen to us or something.
I am perturbed.
Yes. You and me both.
Slimehorn the Magnificent.
Slimehorn the Magnificent. What do you think that something like Slimehorn the Magnificent would look like?
I mean, I'm getting all kinds of images in my head right now, and I'm not sure that I want to say them out loud. Just because I think people would think ill of me and what I represent. But if I were to put on a bit of a PG filter, see, Slimehorn, looking away from like the phallic angle on this one, I mean, if you picture a Slimehorn, because obviously, if we're looking at like the physics aspect of this, a horn cannot be made from slime. I mean, slime is technically, what is it? It's a non-Newtonian substance or something like that, in that like it can only stay in a somewhat solid state if you keep it moving. So
I've never heard that before. That's a fascinating description.
Yeah, it's like slime in general. There's like this. It used to be like a. You ever done like a thing in science class or something where you put like a substance on top of a speaker and it holds it suspended in the air?
Yeah, I think that on top of a speaker, maybe not, but like I think I know what you're talking about though. Like yeah.
It's like because it has the vibrations keep it constantly moving, so it looks like it becomes more solid as opposed to a liquid.
No, I know what you're talking about now. Yes, I have. I have seen that before.
So in that respect, when it comes to the slime horn, I guess, unless there's some kind of magic at play, the horn can't be made from slime. So, in that respect, the naming convention and how that applies to their design, I think we have to look elsewhere as to what the implications of that mean. But unfortunately, the only thing that I can think of is something phallic.
It could also be that he has horns that are just slimy.
You know what? That could be the case. Maybe I need to get my mind out of the gutter.
Wowee. No, but that's interesting. Well, what else are you thinking? Like, besides the obvious one that like we're both trying to avoid.
Yeah. See, something like that. I mean, obviously the slime horn thing is so distracting. I won't lie to you. But if we're going to focus on the other aspects, magnificent. So, magnificent, there's a certain amount of, I guess, regalness to something like that. But it could also mean that someone is also very good at something. Now, when you apply that to the term Slimehorn, it becomes even more upsetting. So, how do we divert away from that to make this one of the most hideously sexual monsters that anyone has ever thought of?
Well, in the episode I did with Star, we did have a character called the Milkshake Duck, which was like basically a duck with abs.
Okay.
So perhaps something where it's like conventionally attractive, but then like maybe its face is like hideous.
Okay, tell you what, let's focus on the magnificent aspect first. Now,
yeah.
The first thing that comes to my mind when I hear the word magnificent is magician.
That me too.
Yeah, it's of all the professions out there, magician is the one that is most likely to have magnificent as a suffix on it. So, name the magnificent. Mm-hmm. So, I think our options here would be one, Slimehorn happens to be a magician, or they could be someone who, like I said, has maybe some kind of like royal background to them or something like that. Personally, I'm leaning a bit more towards magician.
Perhaps they're the royal magician. Maybe it's a kingdom of magic. A magic kingdom, some might say, if they weren't going to be sued.
Whoa, oblivion. Ixnay on the Ingdom K.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
I just remembered Pig Latin.
Yeah.
As I was saying that, it was like one of those things where like you tell yourself in your brain that you just like, don't mess this up. You know how to do it, but get it right.
Yeah. Maybe that's how they all speak there too. Maybe they all use Pig Latin.
Maybe that's how they, have their security members speak at Disneyland, just so they don't worry the children or anything. In their secret tunnels, which they apparently have there.
Yes, they do. It's kind of distressing.
Yeah, and their mascots shared underwear, which is apparently a thing as well.
It is.
But just like, it's literally the most unhygienic thing I've ever heard.
Do you think that we should apply that same rule to our kingdom of magic? Especially with Slimehorn.
See, okay, now when it comes to slime stuff, I'm wondering like what proportion of this person is slime? Is it just the horn or horns, possibly? But as for the underwear aspect, if we're to make them like have some kind of special underwear, I think in that case we'd have to make them Mormon.
Okay. All right.
So this would be a Mormon monster who likes magic and also happens to have a horn either made out of or covered in slime and is probably capable of producing slime consistently.
Okay. Sounds good. Now just to clarify, Mormons are similar to Gorgons, right? Like when they look at you, you turn to slime, perhaps?
Well, I've met a few Mormons, and the main thing that I felt whenever I've like spoken to a Mormon is, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what? it's funny, like a little bit off topic here, but one time like I was like dating this Mormon girl, and a real nice person, everything. Every single Mormon I've ever met has actually been super nice.
Same.
But always like had like something odd about them. Like I remember one time I used to work with a guy that was a Mormon, and even though like he followed the faith very closely, he'd make like constant sex jokes like all the time. And I don't know whether it was just because like he was like super horny or something like that, or whether it was just like trying to fit in with the guys and, you know, constantly appeal to their horniness. But yeah, and when it came to the person I dated, like it was a good while ago, but like it was a case where like we didn't like date for very long. It was just like, you know, 4 or 5 here and there. But
sure.
It hit a point where I was just like, we ended up talking about Mormonism at one point. And at this point in my life, I'd already like gone through my atheist phase and, you know, had a certain amount of, here's a word of the day for you, misotheism, hatred of God.
I've never heard that before. That's interesting.
Yeah, I once taught a Christian that term. But yeah, I'd gone through that phase where I was just like, you know, like, oh, how could you believe in that? And yeah, I was like talking to her about it and said like, you know, so Mormonism, how's that working out for you? And yeah, she was very steadfast in her beliefs on it. And yeah, it was the point where like I just started talking about it. I knew a decent amount about Mormonism, and basically because of my fascination with how anyone can invest themselves in a religion like that, which seems so off kilter, and its foundings seem so utterly ridiculous that you find it hard to comprehend that someone can actually believe it. It just like, yeah, no more dates after that. It was like, I was so stubborn that I just ended up saying, you know what? I think it's for the best of us if we don't continue down this path, and just parted ways from there, just because my edgy atheist phase got in the way of things.
Hey, I mean, I can understand that, in order to really like be with somebody, you kind of have to have a shared values, and sometimes when they're like of a different faith, sometimes it doesn't work out that well. So yeah, I get that completely.
Or if they're, the kind of person that puts on the toilet paper the wrong way around.
Oh yeah, no, those are the worst. Jeez.
That's a deal breaker right there.
Yeah. And we're not going to specify which way is the wrong way around because, like, you should know.
Yeah, you should know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it should be illegal to not know.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, my wife has put it on the wrong way a couple of times, but we went to therapy about it, so it's fine now.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
$1,000 a session, well spent.
Oh, for sure. And then, you can just write it off in taxes and stuff, so...
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how that works, right? That's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
I don't know how insurance works here.
It's horrible.
Yes. That's for true.
I miss free healthcare so much.
I can imagine. So we've got I guess that his power then is that like he presides over a kingdom of magic. Because he is a magician, and everybody wears special underwear, and looking at people, he can turn them into slime. Does that sound good?
Okay. I mean, yeah, that sounds... Well, does he have control as to whether he can change him to slime, or is it, Well, with Gorgons, do they have control over it, or is it just a case where you just can't look at them at any time?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Because I've always felt like it's the case where you just can't look at them. I know, like in some video games and movies, it's always been like the case where it's like, you know, if they want to turn you to stone, they will. But I feel like from the mythological perspective, it's always been the case, just don't look at them or you're fucked.
Yeah, because like it's kind of like they give like I feel like in some movies they'll do like the what do you call it there, like the not Captain America, like the can't think of Cyclops, like, you know how Cyclops has like the ray that he shoots out like in X-Men?
Yeah, he has to have like the ruby lenses over his eyes to well, no, but he wears ruby glasses, like sunglasses, to prevent it from but Professor X made that thing that made it so he can actually control it.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I kind of take it as like, well, I guess he can't really control it either, but he has some semblance of control. So
yeah,
maybe
maybe in this case, like we could take a page out of Cyclops's book and make it so that Slimehorn has to wear glasses to prevent it, like some cool, like Ray-Ban aviator shades or something like that.
Yes.
This episode, by the way, is brought to you by Ray-Ban. It's summertime and you want to look cool outside while preventing your eyeballs from getting fried by the sun. So Ray-Bans, the classics for a reason. Why don't you own a pair?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ray-Ban.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said us. Salari already has a pretty decent sponsorship with them, so
yeah, we're tight. Me and Ray-Ban, them and the what's the name of that? There's like one company that has like a bunch of glasses brands under their umbrella. I can't remember the name. They're basically a cartel.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those things that's like secretly a monopoly. Like you say, I'm going to take my business over to Sunglasses Company B, and you're like, well, Sunglasses Company B also owned by the people who own Ray-Ban. So
yeah, it's oh wait, I just googled it. Luxottica.
Oh yes, Luxottica. See, I didn't even know what the name of that was.
Which to me will forever sound like a company that produces porn.
It certainly does sound that way. This is going to be the most litigious episode as well.
I mean, come after me. You know, I'm like Teflon. Everything bounces off me. Just try to cancel me.
Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah, that you get that with a green card whenever you move to America. It says it on the back in big letters.
It just says diplomatic immunity. Anytime you get into trouble, you just flip your card around.
Yeah, and then underneath that, in tiny letters, it says "fuck you" in a Comic Sans font.
Oh no, that's the worst.
But that's, you know, the serious about it. Everything written in Comic Sans is obviously very, very serious.
Oh no, that explains so much about my landlord in my current apartment setup.
Wait, your landlord sends you letters in Comic Sans?
Letters might be a strong word. It's more like we'll post notices and they'll use Comic Sans, you know, to try to soften the blow a little bit. Yeah, it'll be like, you're 3 months behind on your rent.
Oh my god!
Clip art.
Just like a clip art of someone just looking really sad or something like that, like a sad dog.
Mm-hmm. You've gotten these as well? Okay, or seen them at least.
And it's like you can still see like the Shutterstock watermark on top of it as well.
Yep.
It's like you're getting all that money from rent and you can't spare $40 for some clip art, you cheap bastard.
Nope. And they even like, when they paste it, it's like, it has the transparent background, you know, like the
checkerboard.
Yeah. So it uses up even more ink, so they then just have to go buy more ink too. Ugh.
And then they just raise the cost of your rent to make up for it.
They really do.
It's like, look, buddy, my hands are tied here. Like, I'm going through ink like crazy. You know,
it's not my fault. I just can't afford. I can't afford the clip art.
I keep having to print these letters out. It's the vicious cycle here. Like, you can't pay the rent. I keep raising the rent. I keep having to print out all of these different letters with all of these different checkerboard backgrounds. What am I to do? Just send me an email.
No, that's too impersonal.
Yeah, you've seen
I
the
gotta
Comic
sign
Sans,
it.
right? I'm trying to appeal to you here. I'm trying to be on your side.
I gotta sign it with my $300 pen as well. Let's see if you
Yeah.
write upside down, it still works.
It's like, yeah, very impressive. You know what else does that? A pencil. Oh, no, you told me.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I don't have anything to add.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got the silly landlord out of the way, but Slimehorn the Magnificent.
Yeah.
So does Slimehorn? Do you think do they look like a regular human, or do you think that they've got like other characteristics, like they look a little different from people?
So, going off like, I guess, well, there's all different kinds of like slime-based monsters. I'd say like when I think of slime-based monster, I think first thing that comes to my mind is like the flan monsters in Final Fantasy games. But given the circumstances with this one, I don't think that would be a very good fit for it because those things are completely made out of slime. So in this case, I'm seeing something that's like a little bit burly, you know, maybe looks muscular, but isn't really, kind of ogreish, maybe.
I could see that as well. Muscular, ogreish.
Yeah, they got like you know, maybe horns on the head, maybe a collection of horns, maybe one big horn and a bunch of smaller horns.
I was just thinking, like, what if it had horns like on its head, or I like the idea of like one horn, just like one kind of protruding, like maybe like above like one eye. Yeah. So
like
it's kind of like
maybe,
a cyclops.
So maybe I was just thinking as well. Maybe like it has the one big horn, and that horn produces, or I guess if you want to be scientific, secretes slimes. As to whether they have any kind of pigmentation to the slime, I don't know yet. Might loop back around to that. But I'm envisioning that it has this horn, it produces slimes. However, Slimehorn finds himself in a difficult position where that slime keeps on dripping down his face constantly. So he wears the sunglasses to prevent turning people into slime and cover the fact that he's constantly got slime in his eyes.
I love that idea. I had never even considered that as being a drawback, but that's absolutely true.
See, stuff like that, you know, if he's going to have the slime horn in front of his face, it's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, it's inevitable. It's like, you know, you can wear a headband, but you can only catch so much sweat, you know?
Exactly. It's gonna fall down no matter what. As for the color of his slime, I haven't decided on it yet, but right now I want to veto the color white.
Okay, I wasn't even considering white.
For reasons people can use their imaginations for.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, you don't want to see white splotches all over the place. Like, that just looks weird. Like, it looks like you're painting and, you know, you got messy with it.
Exactly. Painting is one way of putting it. But
yeah, I mean, to go back to our discussion about landlords, I mean, when you move out at the end of your, you know, lease and stuff like that, they ask you to like repaint the walls in some places. You don't want to, you know, you don't want to get that all over the floor. So why would Slimehorn want to get it anywhere?
Just, you know, if you want to figure out whether places need cleaning inside the apartment, just use a black light and you'll see that white paint very easily.
Yes. Do we think that the slime has any powers? Like, is it acidic?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Like, I think in this situation, even though it's technically a monster by definition, I don't think that Slimehorn is a particularly malicious person. Alright, here's what I'm thinking. I think that Slimehorn is envious of the world of humans, and because of their appearance, he found it difficult to fit in with other people. Like, you know, he can talk, he tries to have conversations with people, but everyone looks at him and was like, ugh, why's he got a horn and why's he got slime coming out of it? Which is definitely not white.
Yeah.
And, why is he wearing sunglasses? Why is he trying to look cool? And, he gets rejected because of that. So, in order to appeal to humans, he learned one day, as he was peering into a town from the distance because the humans wouldn't let him in, he saw a magic show in the distance. And he saw all of these humans being captivated by this magician. And he thought to himself, that's how I win humans over. That is how I get my place in modernized society. And that's when he started learning to become a magician.
That's an incredibly endearing story.
It's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Again, this is why I was like, we gotta get Salari on here.
See, stories of people just trying to fit in, stories of hope, even for the outsiders.
Yeah, especially for the outsiders that secrete slime from a horn on their head.
Yeah, but can't help it.
Yeah.
It's not white slime, at least.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Because everyone would just keep looking at it and be like, is that? No, okay.
Oh, okay. It's like, it's rainbow. That's really interesting. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, so what do you call it? Pearlescent. Yeah, that's, like when you get oil inside a puddle, kind of like that.
Yeah, okay, we'll write that, pearlescent slime, because that just has to look really cool.
Yeah.
So you think that he's like a benevolent kind of like slime king magician? Should we throw out the king part?
I think so, yeah.
All right,
yeah.
We'll just throw that out because he's trying to garner favor with humans.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, if you wanted to add like some backstory to him, you could say like, maybe he used to be a king, but his kingdom fell apart, and now he just tries to fit in with other societies instead, but obviously finds trouble with it. But yeah, that would add like some, I guess, tragic layer to his backstory.
Yeah, this is so much more of a complicated character than I had initially considered when I was like, yeah, Slimehorn the Magnificent. I mean, when the Monstermatic spit it out, I didn't come up with this at all.
What can I say? I'm wasted writing for YouTube.
All right. What would his weakness be?
Rejection. Unless you're talking about physical weaknesses.
Yeah, one or the other, or both.
Okay. Rejection, and you know what? I'll add some of myself into this. I'm afraid of snakes. Like, they're awful. They're the least trustworthy creatures in existence. Sorry to anyone who likes snakes. I know there are some of you out there for some reason, but yeah, I do not like snakes. That's only thing I have in common with Indiana Jones. I will say, just for clarification, I do not wish snakes ill or anything like that. I'm live and let live. So, to, add some of myself towards Slimehorn and everything that it represents, I'll say that it is afraid of snakes.
All right. I like that idea. Was there anything else you wanted to add to him?
We'll add some clothing onto him. Like,
good call.
I want to say that in their original society, they were probably just naked. They didn't care too much about presentation and whatnot. But by studying human beings, he's learned that presenting oneself to the world is a complicated but interesting thing that he wants to participate in. And appropriately, I guess, he tries his best to look like the magician that he admired so much. And maybe he could have like a crudely fashioned cape, top hat made out of like a particularly cylindrical piece of stone that he once found. And, trying his best with the resources that are available to him while living in the wild, since he's not quite earned his place in the towns yet. It
also kind of, the top hat would help out with the slime running down onto his face as well.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
What else could he do for it? I wonder if he bandaged his horn, if that would help a lot. Probably not. I don't know. I imagine it being like one of those issues that's sort of like on par with excess sweating. It's just one of those things, like you said, the sweatband, there's only so much you can do with it.
Yeah. Well, and also maybe if it's covered for too long, it'll die, kind of thing.
Yeah, but he needs it. His life is linked to that horn in some kind of way.
Okay, do we need to add anything else to Slimehorn?
I think he's all set.
Pretty good. Yeah, I think he's pretty good. Okay.
He's a tender yet misunderstood creature.
Yeah.
Who just
tender
wants
because
to bring
he's
joy.
slime all over himself, you know.
Yeah. I guess I could add like maybe he's not very good at magic, you know?
Yeah, like he's got a very like base level understanding of it.
Although what he could do is that since he does have that power to turn things into slime, question is, can he turn inanimate objects into slime?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because if he could make that as like part of his act. He could just like, watch me turn this sandwich into slime.
I think that he could do it with a sandwich. I feel like when it comes to stuff like that, it would have to be something organic. Because if we're like doing a 1-to-1 like thing with the Gorgon, like I feel like they couldn't just do that with like anything. Otherwise, they would probably do it with the ocean and just like screw humanity. So like, I feel like that's what it would have to be, something organic. So like the sandwich could definitely turn into slime. I was thinking of like a chicken breast and like be like, this chicken breast, 100% slime. They start like a TikTok channel of them just doing like remember back like in 2020 when people started like cutting like everyday objects and they turned into cake, you know? Like they made cakes that were so photorealistic and stuff. But slime.
Yeah, they just like hold it and then it's just like a paused image of a chicken breast, and then suddenly you unpause it, bloop, falls through the fingers. I'm like, whoa, thought it was chicken breast, but it's slime. You know, they actually made a Netflix show out of that whole premise of things looking like cake.
Did they really?
Yeah, it's literally called Is It Cake?
Oh, no.
It's hosted by Mai Kidet from Saturday Night Live. And he kind of looks like he wants to die throughout the entire thing.
You know, I can't blame him. I feel like even if I got Netflix money, I feel like that's how I would react to being the host of Is This Cake?
Like, you know, getting on SNL is a big accomplishment. Like, it's very difficult to get on SNL. Even harder to stay on SNL for more than one season. But, like, you know, all of these actors try to start a career after they're done. Like Adam Sandler, you know, he went on to be huge after that. What's his name? Starting Barry. Bill Hader. You know, he's a very, very talented person, Bill Hader. Like, he's a fantastic director. He's an excellent writer. Barry is a great show, by the way. Watch Barry. It's very, very good.
Of course. For some reason, I didn't think about that Barry. Like,
yeah. Well, I guess I should have specified in some way. There are many Barrys. But yeah, like, you know,
character on SNL.
But you know, they all try to sort of carve their own path afterwards. And there's Mai Kidet on a Netflix show about people making cakes that look like things that aren't cake. And I'm like, good for you, I guess.
Yeah. Poor Mai Kidet.
Yeah, Mai Kidet is a genuinely funny guy. Like, I'll give him that. Like, he does deserve good things after he's done that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rooting for you, Mai Kidet, if you ever hear this, which I know you will.
Oh yeah, no, Mai Kidet. I mean, he's reached out to me before. He wants to fund the Monstermatic 6000, but like the Netflix money isn't that good. So
I imagine it's like a conflict of interest there.
Also, that you know,
Netflix came along and said like, I'm sorry, but it's either cakes or monsters, and where's the money coming from here, Mikey?
Yeah, exactly. Like, like you might like this podcast, and technically you can do whatever you want with your money, but there is a specific clause in your contract that says podcasts involving monsters, no sir, can't do it.
Netflix show with things that look like cakes. No, that you stuck there, Mikey. This is your niche here. We've got you by the balls for the next 40 years. For all intents and purposes, this is your life now, Mikey. You are stuck in this limbo of watching people make things out of cake that don't look like cakes. This is you, Mikey, now, forever.
Oh no! I just had an idea.
What?
I mean, the Monstermatic 5000 just got done printing out the thing, and
Okay.
it says that our new monster, its background is that it's a game show host on a
my
game
God.
show that will never end.
Oh, Jesus. So just make Mai Kidet.
All right, well, what does he look like?
Mai Kidet? He's a white guy. He has hair and 5 holes on his face. In all the normal places.
Now, what are the
And-
normal places?
There's 2 just below his forehead. There's 2 under the bump of that ridge in the middle of his face. And right underneath that is a very flexible, but, quite large hole that you can put all sorts of things inside. And then inside those 2 top holes goes eyeballs for which he can see.
All right.
And then behind those eyes, nothing.
There's nothing behind the eyes.
Just cake money.
Oh.
Cake money and the longing desire to fund a podcast about making monsters.
This is our guy. I don't know if you're like expecting this or not, but this is our guy.
Yeah, screw Slimehorn. Put that aside. We got Mai Kidet here.
This is our new one, This is round 2.
This is the real monster, the monster of unfulfilled dreams.
Yeah. That's a great name, the monster of unfulfilled dreams.
Yeah, it's very Lovecraftian.
My notes say white, hairy, 5 holes on his face. And nothing but cake money and a desire to fund a monster podcast.
Just like a regular guy.
Yeah. But like I'm picturing white, like opaque white, not like fleshy white, but like actually like you painted him like white. Like he's got the white paint that Slimehorn can't make.
Yeah. I was going to get into more descriptors there, but I won't.
Oh no, please.
I guess like a sort of, one would say, pearly color to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like a pearl jam texture.
A pearl jam texture. Are we making another slime guy?
No. Should we? I feel like that's disrespectful towards Mai Kidet. He's been through a lot.
That's true. But this is just the character basis, Mai Kidet.
That's true, yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll make Mai Kidet, but made out of slime. White slime. Quote unquote.
White slime, Mai Kidet.
Yeah.
What kind of powers do you think that this horrible game show host would have? What kind of tea do you like?
English breakfast tea. It's the standard in the UK. Like, if you go anywhere, ask for tea, that's what you get for it. Yeah, it's good stuff. Like, in fact, Jay and Rose, they drink Yorkshire tea, which is what I drink too. And I'm from Yorkshire.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I usually drink Earl Grey with a lot of honey.
Oh, yeah, it's good with honey, that stuff. It makes it better without honey. Usually Earl Grey, though, whenever I drink that, it confuses me because I expect it to taste like English breakfast tea. But yeah, if you do ever find English breakfast at the supermarket, which is pretty easy to get here, pick it up. It's really good.
Oh, I'm sure I could find it. We have an Irish breakfast one as well, so I imagine that the English breakfast is probably right next to it or something,
Yeah, Irish breakfast is pretty similar to it. It's a little bit weaker than English breakfast tea. But yeah, close enough, I'd say.
Yeah. I see him now. I just Googled him because I was like trying to make sure I got the name correctly. And you're right. He does look like he wants to die.
Yeah,
he really does.
Yeah, it's is even more amazing to see on the show itself, just because it is clearly a guy that's just like, yep, this is a show that I decided to do for some reason, because I guess I have to do something else other than SNL at some point. Plus, it's Netflix money.
Gotta fly the coop eventually, you know.
Yeah, even though it means that I end up having to eat a shitload of fondant all day long because of these cakes and how they're made.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Oh god, all the fondant is terrible. Hey, how do you
It's
feel
awful.
about it spelled like this?
Let's see. Mai Kidet. Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah. Okay. So we've called it Mai Kidet, legally distinct from Mikey Day. You know, it's not even possible that people will get confused.
Yeah. Which, it's not exactly got the same level of notoriety as your Pete Davidsons or anything like that. But, Mikey Day's got solid comedy chops.
Yeah. He's a really funny person. He's like you said, not as popular maybe, but what are we thinking? Maybe he exclusively dates Hilton hotels.
He let's see. So we were looking at his powers first.
Yeah. So we got powers, we got weaknesses. Got a little bit of his background, but only that he's a game show host on a game show that never ends.
Powers. That's a difficult one because, other than with a person like that, obviously, is like pure white, made out of slime. Now, if it was a regular just white guy, then clearly his powers would just be being a white male, which in modern society affords you quite a bit of power. But we're talking about monsters here. So Mai Kidet, I think that he might have the power. Oh, well, actually, I think we're kind of overlooking the obvious here. Mai Kidet has the power to detect whether something is cake or not.
Detects whether or not something is cake.
Yeah, like the answer is right in front of us there. Like clearly,
of course.
I mean, it takes some skill. I wouldn't deny that.
But he could just spot it right away. Like he can smell like the faintest little bit of fondant from 6 miles away.
Yeah, he can he's got like some form of X-ray vision as well, but it's specific to cake.
X-ray vision, but for cake. So he's probably used by like the prison system to make sure nobody's like sneaking in files too.
Yes, because anything that isn't made from your typical cake substance, he can look at it and it's basically X-ray vision. Everything else just looks normal, but cakes to him. And I guess you could also say this counts towards a weakness, because if he looks at cake and it's just like transparent, that means he can't see cake, and that makes it difficult to eat cake.
And do you think that he only subsists on cake?
No. I think maybe, he went through a phase. He discovered that he had these powers, that he really likes cake. Maybe early on in his life, he was able to see cake, but then one day these powers kicked in, and suddenly cake started looking more and more transparent by the day. So he thought to himself, maybe if I keep eating cake, I'll be able to see cake better. So he kept eating, and then after time, he found out that it wasn't working. In fact, it was getting worse. So he ends up finding himself in a position where he can still somewhat enjoy the taste of cake. However, the visual component of food has been removed from the experience, and thus part of the joy of cake has been taken away from it. That is his tragedy.
Ooh. That's sad.
It is. Cake, eating is a multi-part experience. It's multiple components to it. The visual, the taste aspect of it, the smell, all of these components matter. Cake is all about presentation. Mikey has no presentation, and that is a joy that's been removed from his life.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is, yeah. I mean,
Oh, no.
as someone who loves baking, not being able to see the stuff that I make, or having others not see the stuff that I make, that would be a tragedy unto itself.
Certainly. I mean, that's where all of the effort goes in, essentially. You know?
And on the show, Mikey Day sees.
Mai Kidet, yeah.
I keep forgetting that it's Mai
It's okay.
Kidet. So, he's on the show. He was hired specifically for his talent. But when he's on the show, like, the reason why Mikey Day is devoid of joy is because he knows whether something is cake or not. The whole premise of the show is it cake? He knows whether it is, but he has to hold up this pretense. There's like, oh, is it cake? I don't know. Who's to say? So, but like, he knows. Like, he knows. And he doesn't even get to enjoy the presentation of these cakes or the absurd amount of fondant that's gone into making them. So, yeah, he just wants to enjoy looking at cake. Let Mikey Day have that.
He just wants to see it again. Can he see it if you take a picture of cake?
I'm going to say no.
Oh, wow. That's a really powerful inability to see it then.
We'll go by vampire rules here.
So
Cakes
we
are
take a picture of
vampires.
cake.
Yeah, cakes are vampires to Mikey Day. At least in the visual respect.
But what if they weren't? What if our last monster was a vampiric cake?
Oh boy.
Oh no.
A vampiric cake.
A vampiric cake. I mean, you could say it's white and maybe pearlescent and has jam on it, and it's also hairy and has 5 holes on its face.
Oh my god.
Mikey Day is the cake.
Oh. So he just looks in a mirror one day and he sees that, oh, I was cake all along.
Yeah. So you know that trope where people will say something like, if you eat too much of that, you'll turn into it?
Oh yeah.
So like he ate too much cake and now he's become cake. And because of that, he can't see cake.
I am become cake, destroyer of waistlines.
Yes.
I'm just imagining like the movie poster for that now with just a very sad Mikey Day made out of cake with a bunch of holes in its face and covered in a pearlescent jam and just looking very, very sad. Move over, Oppenheimer.
This is Cake Poppenheimer.
Oh my god. He's got arms made out of cake, but limbs made out of cake pops.
Yeah, he's slowly been turning into just like this cake figure.
Yeah.
And he's just like white cake.
And he has like a candle on his head that he keeps lit, but people like keep pranking him and blowing it out, and he's just like, oh, for fuck's sake. And like, it's not easy to light because he has to like reach really high with a lighter, and it just doesn't work most of the time. So he has to like ask a stranger, like, excuse me, like, hi, yeah, I know I'm made out of cake. Look, could you light this for me, please? Like, look, I know it's a weird ass, but please, could you light it? And I was like, oh, okay. And they light it, and next thing you know, a kid comes back, blows it out again. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is miserable. This is agonizing.
Do you think that he would then maybe become vengeful because people keep on pranking him? So maybe he starts to go on like a stabbing spree?
Maybe.
Like
maybe
with a cake spatula thing?
Yeah. Maybe he would orchestrate some elaborate situations where like he makes a stand mixer that's big enough to put a human inside of it, and then just
God.
Cranks it to 10, have people fly around in the bowl and everything, and then puts the remains inside a very large pot, boils it, passes it through a strainer, human jam.
Oh my God, I love this. We've made a cake monster.
And then he uses that jam to try and make a Victoria sponge cake. But he can't see it.
Oh no. All that work for naught.
Nothing. Like, even the jam that he just made, even a human jam that he just freshly made, just disappears as soon as it gets put onto this cake. It like,
oh no,
it's mystifying, horrifying even.
I would say so. Yes, that is a terrifying concept. In fact, it seems like it might be something right out of like Terrifier or like Ginger Dead Man kind of thing. You know.
No, like, but you know, what does he live for? Like, what does he hope to achieve in this kind of scenario? Like, he just wants to see cake. How does he start doing this? And what has he become in the process?
Yeah, how do you defeat Mai Kidet? You know, like, how do you? I guess the only way to like keep him like from stabbing people is to allow him to see cake again.
That, and well, you know what makes me wonder? Like, he must be able to see like drawings of cakes. Like, I don't think that would be someone that's exempt from the rules. He can only see. He can't see true cake. True cake is beyond his apprehension, and when he looks in a mirror, he doesn't see himself either. He also has to abide by vampire rules because he's made out of cake.
Oh no!
So, Mai Kidet is made out of cake, has a face with 5 holes in it, a candle on the top of the head, and limbs made out of cake pops. Can't see himself.
Yeah.
In fact, the only thing that he sees are 5 holes suspended in the air.
he kind of sees like the Invisible Man kind of thing, or maybe he wraps himself. Maybe that's how he gets around like the horror of being like seen as like a cake man. He walks around with like bandages wrapped around himself.
He does, and
like
even so, it's like it's obvious that he's not a human being. Like, he has these like long sticks for legs and arms, like those cake pops, and on top of him, it just looks like, I don't know, it just looks like a wedding cake covered in bandages, and people are like, what the fuck is this? And he just like walks into a Starbucks, tries to act normal, and you know, they're just like, hi, can I get a latte, please, skimmed milk, and they're just, what is this? So just don't worry about it. Like, it's a whole thing. I'm made out of cake. But please, can I just have my coffee? So, well, you're upsetting people in here. I'm not gonna stay. I'm taking it to go. Just please give me my coffee. That's his life. Like,
no.
He just, you know, once again, he just wants to live among people. He just wants to enjoy the visual aspect of cake.
He's such a tragic monster, but like, it makes sense that he would like. He's like a very sympathetic monster, I think. You know, yes, he does throw people into giant like standing mixers and, you know, turn them into a paste and things like that. But it's because they've made fun of him for so long. Yeah. All he wants is affection.
That's the thing. You know, if you look at it from a certain angle, monsters may be born, but it's only later in their life that they are truly made by society. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, getting philosophical on Just a Little Guy, the podcast about monsters.
You know, that's why you should watch my videos. You know, this is the kind of deep insight that you're getting into.
You should. Everybody should watch Salari's videos. If you're not watching them, Salari's videos are fantastic, and like they always like hit home for me. And I know that you're sitting right here, so like it's weird that I'm like talking like in the third person, but like seriously, your work is amazing, and I feel like it deserves a lot of recognition. So
thank you very much.
Yes, to this. Do go check out his videos.
I do deserve recognition and wealth.
Yes, much wealth.
Yeah, you know, of all the things that I want to be recognized by, it's the fucking algorithm.
Oh. Well, fun fact about our next monster.
Oh, God. You know, I was thinking, like, coming in today, maybe, like, an algorithm-themed monster or something like that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I actually did have one written down, like, in my little names list that I made up, where it was, like, Al Gratham. That was, like... it's supposed to be like the algorithm, but it's like supposed to be also a little bit like Arabic kind of thing on there.
So
I never thought I'd get to use it.
I mean, you could have one that's like algorithm, but algorithm. So it's like partly President Al Gore and Al Gore rhythm. Al Gore that likes dancing.
Yeah, it's like you say, he's got that Al Gore rhythm. It's like he knows how to dance.
If he ever released a novelty song, he should call it that.
He should. You know what? I'm gonna get on the phone with him because I definitely know Al Gore.
Oh, you know him too?
Oh yeah. He's very close friends. I can't believe they didn't link us up earlier. Frankly, yeah, he's been a good friend of mine since that time he ran for president. I told him. Yeah. No, I basically told him, there's no chance you lose Florida, no shot at all.
Yeah. Well, next time you talk to him, just remind him that he owes me $10.
Mm-hmm.
And that I don't appreciate him dumping all of his non-recyclable trash on my garden.
Al Gore the polluter. Sorry, Al Gore the litter bug.
That's a joke because I'm a millennial that doesn't own property. Of course I don't have a garden. Life. I will forever have small patios and balconies in rented apartments.
Look at that view of all the other apartments that look exactly the same.
Look at that gorgeous parking lot.
Exactly.
And my depressed neighbor.
Yeah. Do we need to add anything to Mai Kidet?
I guess we could also add we'll go simple on the weaknesses. Weaknesses, just like any other kind of cake, water.
All right. I love that idea.
Water or maybe... well, you know what? Like I said, I like baking. And one of the perils of making a cake is getting the volume of batter that you put inside a cake pan incorrect and getting the temperature wrong. So, well, actually, since Mikey's already made, since he already exists, since he's not being made into existence by baking, I guess that doesn't count. So we'll just say water. You get too much moisture on a cake, that stuff falls apart.
Oh, yeah. That's incredible considering he's on a planet made of water. Basically, of mostly water.
Yeah, it's like Signs by M. Night Shyamalan. Like, why on earth would you do a plot line where the aliens are allergic to water, and yet they came to a planet with over 70% water?
Because it's fun!
See, that's when M. Night Shyamalan's career fell apart after that movie, and that's the exact reason why that and Mel Gibson.
Oh yeah. Once all the stuff came out about Mel Gibson, then it was over.
That's what you get M. Night for getting into bed with a anti-Semite Australian.
Now look, he just has some questions about the Holocaust. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, and some horrible racial slurs for his ex-wife.
Yeah. Ooh.
And yet he still
Mel
gets
Gibson,
work.
not a good guy. Yeah, somehow. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in Chicken Run?
He was, yeah. Like, that was before all that stuff transpired.
Oh, that's true.
That was probably his best role, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I didn't see
Chicken
that
Run's
until,
legit.
Year, so.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I hadn't seen it until very recently. And then I made my whole personality Babs is cool for a while. So.
I mean, there are worse personalities to emulate, I won't lie.
I could have said Mel Gibson is cool. That would have been an even worse personality.
Imagine that's how you find out about Mel Gibson. Like, you've never heard of him up until that point, and then one day you watch Chicken Run, and it's like, oh, watch Chicken Run. Like, Mel Gibson's great, right, guys? And you're like, you're about to have your day ruined.
Well, here's this video. You can go watch that on your own accord. And
Yeah, here's him leaving a voicemail for his wife. Maybe next time when you watch Chicken Run, it might have a... Hearing his voice might give you some different feelings.
Yeah. I have one more little like interview question. I know we've talked for like almost 2 hours now. Would you say you were like really into like monsters and like cryptids and stuff? Maybe not cryptids, but like monsters, horror, like that kind of thing when you were younger?
To be honest, like when it comes to like horror, I've always been, how can I put it, a little baby boy. Like I've always like, I'm not. It's a weird thing. Like I remember growing up, like I have an older brother and sister, and they were into like horror movies, and I was like the kind of kid that like I wasn't fascinated by it. I'd say at most it was morbid fascination, but every single time when I ended up like watching something with them, like it would just like stick with me, and it was like guaranteed nightmares that night. So, and you know, I developed sort of an aversion from that for that. As I got like older, and I started like really getting into movies when I hit my teenage years, and you know that's when I sort of like branched out a bit more into looking at your more classic horror movies, like the real timeless classics like Alien and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff like that.
The Criterion collection of horror.
Yeah, like you know the stuff that will hold up over the years, and the Thing as well. Like you know the Thing is movie. Yeah, it's legitimately a terrifying movie. Like it's like that and Alien were so good at like cultivating that environment of uncertainty, paranoia, and fear of the unknown. And that fear of the unknown and uncertainty has always been the thing that sort of like resonated when it comes to monsters, and you know even the idea of monsters that are among us as well. And I think like that has always been the thing that sort of like resonated. It's not necessarily been like your typical monsters, even though obviously like you know Xenomorph and the Thing are both monsters, but like it's always like been the more psychological aspect, not necessarily the aspect of like trying to terrify you with visuals, but more like that existential threat that a monster can pose. Like, for example, the most recent thing I remember, there's two things in recent years that have like, I guess, shook me a bit when it comes to horror. One is technically not a horror movie, but have you ever heard of the movie The Neon Demon?
Oh, that sounds really familiar, but I can't confirm. Like, I can't 100% say that I've heard about it.
Okay, yeah, it's directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, who directed Drive, and I remember watching it because I'm a big fan of his work. Like, I think he's an incredible director, albeit sometimes he makes like some very convoluted, overly slow stuff. But yeah, he's a great director.
Okay.
But it's about like, you know, it's all humans, but it's humans that act monstrously, and it's about like the world of modeling. And at the very end of it, like it gets extremely surreal. It has like loads of references to like witchcraft and everything. And yeah, it gets like really fucked up in many ways. It's not like a gore fest necessarily, but it is just like showing the more monstrous and sort of like angrier side of humans, the stuff that envies other people. Because like there's like these four women, and they're like captivated by this one new model that comes along who seems to be like the talk of the town. Their career's taken off and everything, but yeah, the end takes like a very, very surreal twist, and it gets really, like I said, it's that feeling of unsettling and not knowing what's going to happen next, and just stuck in like almost like an alternate reality at that point when things starts to change. That stuck with me, even though, like I said, it's technically not a horror. But the second thing that stuck with me, and I guess technically there is a monster in this, and it's gonna say this always sounds weird when I say it out loud, just because by the title you wouldn't think it's a horror thing. But the visual novel Doki Doki Literature Club. Have you ever played it before?
Sure have. Famously, well, I say famously, if you if you're a follower of my stream, which I feel like at least somebody who's listening to this will probably be, there was one time where I played that game and I voiced the main character with my Macho Man Randy Savage voice, which was a terrible idea. I was like, this will be fun, and then I realized, oh, that's a lot of text. So I couldn't speak for like a couple days afterwards, but yeah, I played at least a little bit of it. I never finished it, but I did play through like the first, I guess, sequence you could call it. You know?
Yeah, the first time you play through it. Did you get to a second playthrough?
No, I didn't. So I mean, okay, spoilers for a game that's about 10 years old, give or take. But like, I got to
it's a free game. Just play it, people.
Yeah, come on, jeez. There's literally nothing holding you back unless your PC is actually a potato. But the main love interest, as far as I know, like dies at the end.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go into like too much how they die, but they die.
Yeah.
And then kind of one by one, everybody else starts to die as well. And like it gets all glitchy and stuff. I didn't get to the part where it gets all glitchy or anything. I got to the one where like the first person died. But I've watched playthroughs as well. So.
Okay. So you have a feel for like what transpires.
Yeah. I'm more or less familiar with. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like it. But yeah, I got to that second playthrough because that was where people's like, oh, you got to keep playing, and it was really where like that fear of the unknown once again really started kicking in, and it was just like with every click of the mouse it was just like, what the hell is going to happen next? And it just wasn't. That was where like that, I guess, that fight or flight instinct kicked in, where it's like if you click that button you might feel something that will make you feel awful, or it might make you feel even more unsettled than you already are. And yeah, that was where like it got difficult. However, my wife seems to be oddly immune to these responses, so she took over me playing because, like I said, I'm a big baby boy and I just couldn't get through it. Still shook me though. Like I remember like when we like finished it, ate dinner that evening, had a fucking 1,000-yard stare where my wife was like, are you all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And legitimatately couldn't sleep that night as well. Like it just like kept creeping back into my mind. But yeah, it's because like Monica, who's the woman with the long hair, the one that's the head of the club, like she's like the monster in that. Like she has like control over everything that's happening. It's a very fourth wall kind of thing, where she's aware that it's a game, but she's enamored by you, the player, and it's sort of playing into that trope of like all these like visual novel games where you date people. All of these girls that you see in it, they're just written as people who are supposed to love you and possibly obsess over you. And a character like Monica is someone who has been created as someone who wants to fall in love with you and someone that is in love with you. And she's like basically reaching through the monitor and saying like, I'm in love with you, your name. Like there's even a bit where like it takes information from your PC's name, and most people like name their PCs after themselves when they start it up for the first time. So like it says your name at one point, even though you never entered it into the game. And if you know the technical side of things, I guess it's not too terrifying, but it is a nice little touch. But yeah, it's always like that kind of uncertainty that always gets me, like the fear of what happens next, the fear of distrust. Even games like Resident Evil 7, like I found it hard to get through that just because You know, there were all of these freakish family members that you got to deal with. You don't know where they are at any given time, and being in like that first person perspective always leaves you in a very vulnerable position where you don't know what's going to happen to you next. And yeah, that another game that I couldn't finish just because I was like, I'm too scared.
No, that's very much we have that in common, because I can't do horror games either.
It's difficult. I don't know how people do it. Like, it's, you know, as video games go, like, I was always disappointed that Silent Hills got cancelled. And, you know, I've seen playthroughs of that and everything. It is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen. Like, I didn't play that, but even just watching it from a third-person perspective is absolutely terrifying. And even though I'm very sad that that game never came into full existence, I know for a fact that I wouldn't play it. Like, there is no chance in hell that I could get through that thing.
Yeah, no, I would never be able to do that either. It would just, I would do the same thing I do with all horror games, where I just watch it through Markiplier, you know, and just kind of live vicariously through like the whatever Let's Player is like playing it. I'm like, good for you, buddy, good for you. I would have just quit.
I was just those would just be like guaranteed situations. Like, do I feel like sleeping tonight? No. Okay, let's play Silent Hills.
Yeah. But like my fiance is very much the same way too. She's not nearly as affected by like horror games. So like,
lucky her, I guess.
I know. So she like plays through like all these games that I'm like, no, I can't do it. She's like,
yeah, I don't know what it is. Like I said, I think it's just that fear of the uncertain. And you know, people are affected by media in more stronger ways than others. And I don't know. Maybe part of me almost feels lucky for the fact that we can feel it on such an intense level. Because I guess there is an argument that if stuff like that doesn't affect you that much, you might be missing out a little bit, I guess.
That's true. I hadn't considered that.
But there's an irony in it, in that like the audience that will probably be affected by its message the most are the ones that are going to miss out on it.
That's a great point. Oh my gosh. I'd never thought about it like that.
No, I hadn't until now, actually. But yeah, it seems like, hey, this is something we wanted to get this response out of you, but it's a shame you can't get through it.
Yeah, it's almost like mocking you to like, oh, I guess you should have finished the game.
Yeah, you little
like,
baby boy.
Yeah. So we got one more monster. Oh, I was going to ask you as well. Have you ever seen Suspiria?
I've seen the original a good while back, though. Yeah, up front, I barely remember a thing about it.
Oh, I gotcha. I was going to say, if you like kind of like thrillers where it like gets surreal at the end, like I feel like that's probably one of them where it does that. But I haven't seen the newer one, so I don't know.
I've heard it's really good. That's the one with Tilda Swinton in, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think from what I've heard, it sort of is similar to the Neon Demon in many respects. Because there were like other like themes of femininity that play into the role too. But yeah, I'll give it a watch at some point. I've heard it's very good. I don't know. I'll take a Klonopin in advance or something.
There you go. Well, like, and I've heard that like Black Swan is kind of the same way. So like all these kind of movies where it's like women going into like creative fields or like, you know, just horrible shit happening.
Yeah, like being vulnerable and whatnot. It's yeah, it's interesting as the subject goes.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. The Monstermatic has finished printing out the sheet that I requested that it print out. Oh, wow. So this one actually comes from the prior guest named Skylar.
Mm-hmm.
They are the bassist for the doom metal band Goron, which, you know, might be named after something that is also litigious, if named specifically. And the name that they picked for the final monster tonight is the Kabean.
The Kabean. Okay.
Yes.
It seems
So
like a horrible misspelling of Caribbean.
you know what? I was thinking cabin, but
That,
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
Somebody like scratched the letters off the sign.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's Kabean.
Kabean. What kind of like physical characteristics does that evoke immediately?
I guess. Well, immediately gut reaction. I'd probably say something like, well, like a bean. To be honest with you.
A bean. Oh my. Okay. So it's tight.
I guess if you wanted to get like a little bit more layered with it, you could invoke imagery of Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson.
Oh no.
The Kabean.
Mr. Bean.
Wait. The Kabean. Kaboom. A Mr. Bean that explodes.
Mr. Bean that explodes. That's great. I mean, that's pretty much. Yeah. Does he have any other kind of like special things? He's Rowan Atkinson, but he explodes
He gets up to his usual shenanigans, doing his weird voice, like, and then usually that's followed with an explosion. A horrific.
So he's kind of like a creeper.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a creeper in Minecraft, but he does Mr. Bean stuff.
Yeah, they should add that to Minecraft, actually. You're just walking around, enjoying yourself, crafting some mines and whatnot, and then suddenly Rowan Atkinson comes up to you. It's like, hello, boom. But the explosion is so big that it literally just deletes your game. Like, it uninstalls it for you.
Oh my god, that is terrifying.
Yeah, like
it's one of those things that only pops up at 1 in a million, like spawns or something like that.
Yeah, and that's it. It's too terrifying to play the game because you're constantly worried that, well, what's the point in playing when the Kabean can come along and just erase everything?
That's true. Not even just like the game, but I would say like, well, I mean, you said like the whole computer, right? Like just completely deletes.
Yeah, why not? Just gets rid of your operating system, and then you got to pay $100.
Delete system.
Then you got to pirate Windows 11 once again.
Yep.
Yeah, the Kabean. Yeah, we can say Rowan Atkinson. Whether he would look identical to Rowan Atkinson, no. I guess he could look like Mr. Bean. But things have gone horribly wrong in his life. So, his tweed suit is looking a bit tattered. Maybe he's done that thing where he tries to look cool by ripping off the sleeves. And he's got like, instead of a tie, it's just like a strap of dynamite attached to it, or a fuse, which, actually, it's just a fuse. So it just gets a lighter, lights up his tie, and then once it gets to the top, his head explodes and explodes everything around him. But he can regrow his head.
Can regrow his head. Wow.
Yeah. This isn't...
Well, I guess he wouldn't be a threat otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. He wouldn't want to throw his life away like that. He still wants to exist.
Yeah.
He exists. He continues existing for the sake of Teddy. His little stuffed toy.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I am completely and totally in the ignorant of like what Mr. Bean actually does.
Oh
I just know what he
God.
looks like.
You've never watched Mr.
And then
Bean?
sometimes he runs around in his underwear. Yeah.
Oh my God. You need to watch Mr. Bean. Like it is legitimately a comedy classic. Like I can still watch that to this day and get genuine laughs out of that show. It's great physical comedy.
Get a hearty chuckle.
Yeah. It's like, as physical comedy goes, it is fantastic.
I'll have to check that out then, because like I'm sure it's somewhere online.
Oh yeah,
like
it's on Hulu.
I feel like it's at least on. Oh, it's on Hulu. Okay, I was gonna say it might be on like Tubi or something like that. So
let's see.
And if it's not, then they need to make it Tubean.
Yeah, just make your own exclusive Mr. Bean only streaming service. Only $15 a month.
Yeah. It's a very niche,
very niche
market, but I think that
very niche.
I'd probably make a killing.
Very niche, but very successful. more subscribers than Peacock.
What if that's how he found his victims, was that he would just like, you would, if you're signed up to a Mr. Bean hosted like streaming service, like, you know, serving a streaming service that hosts Mr. Bean, that like it's able to note that and then it finds your Minecraft game and blows you up.
Like he just gets your IP, sneaks into your PC afterwards. Yeah, I mean, you know, if we're going to go for like a more of a modernized monster, Rowan Atkinson could probably do that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even if we're to go like D&D style, it's just like, if you have seen a Mr. Bean thing, like skit or something like that, portrayed by this troupe of actors, then one of them will show up in your Cabbage Patch and just explode everything that's near and dear to you.
Yeah.
Like, just go off like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, just shock and awe in your Minecraft game.
Yeah.
But he would, what he exists for is just pure chaos. And you know who he targets, maybe it could be something that he finds through the streaming service, maybe it's just random. You know, he's an agent of chaos that exists to keep us on edge at all times. And even when I'll send you a picture real quick, and I just looked it up. It is on Hulu. All the episodes are on Hulu.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is Mr. Bean and Teddy. And it's, you know, his love of Teddy makes him endearing as a character. But in this scenario, Teddy would be basically just made completely out of dynamite sticks. And, you know, if he doesn't want to go for the full nuclear explosion, you could just toss Teddy at someone, blow him up that way.
Can be used as projectile.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Because I was going to say as well, maybe Teddy is like controlling him to be evil or something.
It could be, that could work. Yeah. They just...
Yeah.
In fact, you know, well, to make it a bit cleaner, to keep Teddy looking like he does, we're going to say it is stuffed with C4.
Teddy is stuffed with C4.
Yeah. C4 is more malleable, so I guess that would at least make him look like a Teddy.
I mean, I could see that being feasible too. You know.
Yeah.
You can't really wrap dynamite the same way, I would imagine.
No, that would look silly.
I wouldn't know. FBI, don't come at me.
No. Got the Unabomber right here.
Yep. You thought he was dead, but you were wrong.
Wah, wah.
All right. Do we need to add anything else to the Kabean?
Let me think.
Does he have any weaknesses, I guess?
Weaknesses. Now I'm trying to think of weaknesses that Mr. Bean had. I mean,
what could possibly defeat Mr. Bean? I guess you could shoot him.
I guess. I mean, if you wanted to get the upper hand on him from a distance, yeah, you could probably just like... Oh, well, I guess you couldn't shoot him in the head because that would probably trigger the explosion.
True.
Maybe a bucket of water? Water, once again.
All right.
Thwarting the monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that. Maybe.
Yeah, well, that would douse the wick, so...
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true, because he's got the wick tie. And I guess you could also say just a pair of scissors would thwart him. It's one of those things where it's like... It could be one of those situations where it's like, you know, something which is extraordinarily dangerous, but easy to stop.
Yeah. Well, because I was going to say, well, maybe if he had, like, knives for hands, and then I was like, I've done, like, 6 things that have knives for hands, so he's just explodey, okay?
It's getting cliche at this point.
Yeah. At this point, every little guy is like, I'm going to stab you with my finger.
Yeah. It's like, oh, what are you, Edward Scissorhands? Fred.
No, I'm legally distinct.
Or, what's his name? Freddy Krueger?
Yeah.
No, my shirt...
Freddy Scissorhands.
My shirt is black with red stripes, not red with black stripes.
I think that this shirt was actually like supposed to be red and green, if I remember correctly, but because of the way it showed up on the screen, it turned out like red and black.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be like...
That's probably because green doesn't pick up very well on old film.
Yeah.
Unless you like
That makes sense, actually.
try to grade it properly so it does make it stand out a bit more, which I imagine would probably mess with the color palette of the movie. But that's why we largely use green screens for movies or shooting things, because it's easier to get rid of than other colors. Technical knowledge.
That makes sense. Yeah. I had thought it was just because it stands out like more like in that situation, but
that also helps. Yeah, like it's one of the colors that people are less likely to be wearing, especially if it's like that very bold shade of green.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the sort of origins of that one. My television production degree really paying off there.
Oh, you have a degree in television production. That's pretty cool.
I do indeed. I wanted to do creative writing at first, but due to some bullshit circumstances, I couldn't get into it. Long story, I won't get into it. But yeah, I ended up doing that. And only just recently being able to make use of it with the YouTube stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it shows because like the videos were all really high quality.
Oh, thank you. I work on a very shoestring budget for my production, so doing more with less.
It's really incredible.
Oh, thank you. I will say I pride myself on my editing. Like, as someone with ADHD, when it comes to long videos, I find it so hard to pay attention to them, especially if it's like an hour plus or something like that. So I edit my videos in such a way that like I want to make it like it's something that I would find easy to watch. And one of the compliments I get quite often is that the videos don't feel as long as they are, and that is exactly what I'm going for. So in that respect, it did pay off and it helped me become a better editor.
Yeah. I mean, even like, again, we're at about 2 hours and 10 minutes now. And like, it doesn't feel like it's been 2 hours to me.
No, it doesn't.
So it's it's really easy to like talk to you and like to listen to you speak and stuff. So I think that that's probably a good part of it as well.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I am very affable. I agree. And modest.
There you go. Yeah. The most modest, some might say.
Indeed.
Okay, so I guess we're all good with the Kabean.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like the Kabean doesn't give you a tremendous amount to work off of.
No, not really. I was thinking like maybe a house that eats people, but like that's also kind of like basic, you know?
The Kabean. I mean, there's got the in front of the name, but I don't know.
Yeah, what is the, like...
Yeah, I mean...
What even does is mean?
Is he... I mean, obviously, it's just the one thing that exists. I don't know, maybe it's an arrogance thing. Maybe he called himself the Kabean. And it was just like...
He's the Kabean, yeah.
Yeah, and people were just... Well, I guess, like, you could also, like, describe it as, like, an action. Like, you could say, like, you have to watch out for the Kabean.
Yes, that's true. Because he could be... He can be... Damn, I'm trying to do this joke here. I can't land it. He Kabean anywhere.
Terrible.
Awful. Not anywhere close to the level of Mr. Bean.
Oh, of course not. That's why Mr. Bean is eternal.
Because nobody can replace him.
Of course not. He's the Charlie Chaplin of our time.
Indeed. Indeed. I am definitely versed on Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, of course.
Definitely
we
know
all
a lot about him.
Of course, we all have...
Who living in America couldn't be?
Yeah. I mean, main thing I know about Charlie Chaplin is that Hitler speech that he did. Well, not Hitler speech, but that speech.
Yeah, the Great Dictator, I think, was the...
Like, that speech, which is a great speech. And apparently...
Yeah.
It was the thing that made him... That got him investigated by the US government for being a communist.
Wow. Good job, US government.
Yeah. The guy tells the world that they need to stand against fascism. Suddenly US government comes along and says, that's a communist. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that speech
obviously
basically like ruined his career. That and movies where you could actually hear people talking.
Yeah, I can understand that one because I feel like there was a lot of like issues with like silent movie actors maybe not being the most vocally gifted. Yeah, I had heard something about that.
Yeah,
before.
there's a whole story to it. It's pretty interesting. There is a movie where Robert Downey Jr. did like a biopic, but it's not very good. I wouldn't recommend watching it.
Good to know, because I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it was made during the time when like Robert Downey Jr. was going through his numerous issues. But yeah, just read up on it. It's perfectly fine reading up on it. It's way more accurate.
I will just read the synopsis.
Indeed. Yeah, just go to IMDb and look up the plot line of Charlie Chaplin's life.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today, because we've done all the monsters.
Yeah.
We did all the talking. If y'all haven't heard enough of my voice at this point, like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You've listened to like 2 episodes worth of stuff. Like, come on. Just anyway. But Salari, where can people find you? What would you like to promote?
I am nowhere. Leave me alone.
Oh, okay.
But if you are interested, I am on that there YouTube making video essays about stuff. You can find me at youtube.com/Salari, or you can just search for Salari there. I'm usually the top result. I'm no longer on Twitter or X, however you want to put it. But you can find me on Blue Sky if you happen to have an account there. Just search for Salari there. And more recently, the thing I've been getting into more recently is streaming on Twitch. And you can find me at twitch.tv/JSalari. I stream every Tuesday and some Thursdays at about 2 p.m. EDT or EST, depending on what time of year that you're listening to this.
Yeah.
So go follow me.
I always just say Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern. That'll do. Yeah, go follow. Oh, yeah, if you want to give me money instead of Ron, go to patreon.com/Salari and give me enough money to make your standard of living worse.
Yes, go into financial ruin to help Salari. All right. Love ending on that note.
Videos out of it.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's not like you're not getting nothing. You're getting some quality entertainment.
Yeah.
Some good long-form content.
Yeah.
With some good messages, all right?
Yeah.
Interesting stories.
Yeah. I was trying to keep the
good media analysis.
I was trying to keep the key of all those years.
I could hear it.
Okay, good.
I appreciate the consistency.
I wanted it to make it so like people were wondering if that was actually an edit or not. So we'll see. Even though I've ruined it now.
Nah, I can just edit this part out too.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I can also just make that into a sound effect now, like I've done with so many things with like Zoe and Star and all that.
Go for it. I offer my consent.
Yay. All right, but seriously, thank you for being here, Salari. I had a ton of fun, and I can't wait to speak with you again soon.
Thank you very much for having me. This is very fun.
My pleasure. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Just a Little Guy. Don't forget to subscribe to the show if you enjoyed it, and keep an eye out for new episodes every other Wednesday. You can find more information on this week's guest, Salari, in the episode description. If you'd like to support the podcast monetarily, head over to patreon.com/justalittleguy and sign up at any level. That's Lil, as in what your phone autocorrects to when you attempt to write aisle. If you'd like to support us in a non-monetary fashion, leave a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice, and be sure to spread the word to your friends and family. Thanks again for listening, and as always, beware the Kabean. Yeah, my holes. Oh my God, I'm cutting that. My notes right now.
Oh my God. Where is
my
this
notes? Going? My notes say white, hairy, 5 holes on his face.